Hiya, hiya. How are you? Who's with me? It's Vincy Lou Who. And how are you? Hot? It's not hot here. It's like 75. It's nice. Oh my. Torn page, a lost page, a final page. How goes it? Where's that hussy at? Thought she was on here. I was going to tell her I have her a backup for that book. There she is. Yeah, see, Mama? Oh, thank you. It's just kind of here. I've been running my fingers through it all day. It's getting long, finally. Finally, it's getting long. Nina, I just sent you a book to check out. It's where you need it to be. So it's on KU, so you should be able to see it. Now back to where I needed to be. Dad, nabbit, I just closed that out. All right. Chocolate cup. Oh, dark chocolate kisses. I put the wrong thing down. That's a nabbit. Remind me when I get off from here, I need to correct the title. Because I put, and I knew it was dark chocolate kisses, but I put chocolate covered kisses for some reason. So don't say hi to her. You guys been talking all day. I got proof. Yeah, I can now see my hair when I can flip it over and see it now. Yep, it's coming up my ear now. Time to get it cut. I hate it when my hair touches my ear. One more minute, see if anybody else shows up. With Alexandra being from the UK, I know she won't be on here. So, hey, look at my tan. See my tan? My arms are all tanned compared to my chest. She may or may not. It all good. It all good. All righty. So, yeah. So, ignore the title that I put up there until I can get it fixed. It's called Dark Chocolate Kisses by Alexandra Reed. And there it is. And it's part of the it's part of the Candy Shop series, and it's part of her Pineview, Massachusetts series. Boy, I hope I talked better tonight than I did last night. And this is book 8 in the candy shop series. Dedication for all the chocolate lovers, midnight dreamers, and hopeless romantics. I'm not sure. Well, I'm probably a midnight dreamer, but I'm not the others. Alrighty. Chapter 1. Paige. Think I'll get you some chocolate. All right, gotta take my glasses off. So, girls, behave yourself. I'm trusting you. Chapter 1. Paige. It was ladies' night at Cocktails and Cream, and the drinks were flowing. Cocktails and cream. What kind of cream are we talking about? The popular Pineview establishment had hit pay dirt with their once-a-week half-price drinks for women event. The men in town didn't seem to mind either. If anything, it motivated more of them to come out and try their luck with the single women in town. Paige Jamison was one of those single women, but it wasn't the reason for her presence at CNC. Tonight was both a girls' night out and a celebration. One of her friends had just gotten engaged, and what better way to celebrate than with delicious drinks, great music, and even better company. Setting the tray of drinks down at their table, Paige began to hand them out, making sure to give Holly her drink first. The blonde smiled up at her, gratefully accepting the rich pineapple crush cocktail. If anyone deserved to be happy, it was Holly Harper. Thanks, Paige, Pippa Maddox said, accepting her vanilla colada with a grin. I wish I could join you, ladies, Ellie Kavanaugh sighed, staring longingly at the cocktails within her reach. You know damn well that Jude would kill us if you even had a sip, Pippa chastised her. Sitting back, Ellie smiled as her gaze landed on her husband. Jude was helping behind the bar tonight, more so he could keep an eye on his pregnant wife than because he wanted to. I still can't believe you got knocked up again so quickly, Pippa chuckled. Ellie pretended to swat the precocious brunette. I can't help it if my husband is one gorgeous specimen of a man who only has to smile at me in order to get me into bed. She laughed, her hand absently stroking her bump. All four of us laughed, even Maggie, who had been unusually quiet for most of the evening. Maggie was Paige's cousin, like a sister, really. She'd always been able to tell when something was up with her, just as Maggie could tell her moods. Come on then, Holly. Let's see the ring again. With a name like Pippa, I just had to. And I know there's Kate's sister Pippa, but still. Pippa said, leaning forward expectantly. Holly flushed, held out her hand proudly. Sam Roberts had done good by their girl. Paige sighed, watching as the diamond cut the light and sparkled. Holly and Sam's relationship was like a fairy tale come true. If only Paige could find someone who loved her half as much as her friends' partners loved them. As Pippa and Ellie gushed over the ring, Paige turned to her cousin with a questioning look. Maggie smiled and shook her head, clearly not willing to discuss anything around the others. Maybe she didn't want to ruin Holly's night, but regardless, Paige was going to find out what the deal was with her cousin before the night was out. I don't know if that was going to be a yawn or a sneeze. My apologies. Earth to Paige. Paige, have you heard yet? Ellie asked, waving at her to get her attention. Paige chuckled. Sorry, heard about what exactly? The new shop, the one next to yours, Pippa said, exchanging glances with Ellie. The empty shop that I've been hoping to use to expand the bookshop, you mean? Yeah, that would be the one, Ellie confirmed. What about it? Paige asked, fearing she already knew the answer. Some guy bought it outright and is going to open a chocolate shop, Maggie blurted nervously. This is why you've been on edge tonight? You knew? Paige asked in disbelief. Maggie nodded, unable to meet her gaze. Damn it. If only she'd gone to the building's owner with a higher price or made an offer sooner. If only. Her whole life had consisted of a multitude of if only. I'm sorry, Paige. I know how much you getting the expansion done means to you. Paige sighed. You didn't want to ruin the evening. Maggie nodded, her eyes brimming with regret. Paige reached over and took Maggie's hand. It wasn't her cousin's fault that she'd lost the shop. It wasn't anyone's fault. Well, part of from the thief who had stolen her store from her. Let's not dwell on it tonight. What will be, will be. Tonight is for our friend Holly and the gigantic rock of hers, Paige stated, steering the conversation away from her. Another round, ladies? Paige asked, getting to her feet. Yes, please, all of them said in chorus and then promptly burst into fits of giggles. Paige shook her head and walked towards the bar. She sidled up to where Jude was standing and placed her order with him. Plopping herself down on the bar stool, she made herself comfortable while she waited for the drinks. Smoothing down her flowery skirt, Paige suddenly felt a shiver run through her. Turning, she locked eyes with a gorgeous guy who was watching her from across the bar. She hadn't seen him before. The young man was devilishly good-looking in a boy-next-door kind of way, only edgier. He reminded her of a dark-haired version of Chris Evans. Ooh, baby. She flushed when she realized he was still watching her, this time with a knowing grin. Hey, you okay? Paige jumped. She turned back to see Jude staring at her with concern. She gulped, reaching for her drink and damn near downing it in one go. Easy there, Jude said, taking the empty glass from her. What's going on with you? I'm good. Better than good. I'm great, Paige rambled. Can I get a refill before I take these back to the table? You sure you can handle another one? Yes, Dad. I promise I'll sip it slowly, she replied, winking at him. It was sweet that he was concerned. Jude had become like an older brother to her, just as Ellie was like a sister. She even babysat for Macy and Maverick, their 21-month-old twins. This time, Jude's mom was babysitting so that Ellie could have some quality time with us ladies. She needed to return to her friends and get some distance from the stranger before she self-combusted. Jude mock scowled at her before handing her the now full cocktail glass. Blowing him a kiss, she laughed as she tipsily returned to the table. As much as she tried to ignore it, she could still sense that the mysterious hottie was eyeing her up. Chapter 2, Logan. Sipping his pineapple-flavored cocktail, Logan Carter allowed himself to relax and let his gaze wander around the room. Cocktails and Cream was a bar unlike any other he had ever stepped foot in, and a far cry from his rural hometown in Idaho. Not that he was fresh off the farm. No, he'd frequented swanky bars in New York and rubbed shoulders with the rich and famous in L.A., but nowhere he had been had felt like home before. It was purely by chance that he had gotten lost on his way to Boston and ended up in Pine View. Whether it was fate or pure coincidence, Logan came across a shop for sale that would be perfect for his business. Not 2 days later, he had signed the contract for the shop and for the apartment above it. Logan took another sip of his cocktail and smiled. A fresh start was just what the doctor ordered, literally. In New York, he had been swept up in the rat race and had burnt himself out to the point that it had started to affect his health, both physically and mentally. And after what had happened, well, it hadn't taken much convincing for him to sell everything he had, everything he could, and leave the big city for small town life. A group of women at a table across the room caught his attention, specifically a tiny blonde with a smile that lit up the room. One thing he had learned the hard way, was that your journey in life could change direction at any given moment, whether you want it to or not. And though he may not have wanted his life to change, the universe had found a way to tell him to slow down, take stock, and as cheesy as it may be, smell the roses. Hey, can I get you another drink? The dark-haired bartender asked. Logan didn't even realize he had finished his drink. Sure, I'll have the same again, please. Haven't seen you around here before. You just passing through? No, I just moved here from New York. Big change for you then, New York to Pineview, he laughed. I'm Jude Kavanaugh, by the way. My wife Ellie and I own Cocktails and Cream. Nice to meet you, Jude. I'm Logan Carter. Logan reached out to shake Jude's hand. You have quite an impressive place here. Beaming with pride, Jude handed Logan his drink. Thank you. It was fun bringing Ellie's vision to life, not to mention that this place is what brought us together. Logan could see the love in Jude's eyes as he spoke of his wife and wondered whether he would ever experience a love like that. Man, that tea's sweet. Whew. You guys seeing me okay? Mine too bright? Turn this way some. You guys can see my cleavage, my butt crack in the front. I crack myself up sometimes. Logan could see the love in Jude's eyes as he spoke of his wife and wondered whether he would ever experience a love like that. Jude excused himself and walked over to the other side of the bar where the tiny blonde was sitting. For a moment, Logan forgot to breathe as he got a better look at her. She was beautiful. Her shoulder-length blonde hair shimmered gold in the light of the bar, framing her petite face. He watched with interest at their interaction. Was this Jude's wife? She chose that very moment to look in his direction, and as their gazes locked, she flushed. He smiled knowingly that she couldn't possibly be married considering the heat of her gaze. Bemused, Logan couldn't help his gaze from following her as she carried a tray of drinks back to the table of women. She dished out the drinks before sitting down, laughing at something one of the women said, her hair falling back off her shoulders. Her name is Paige. Logan jumped, startled at the sudden intrusion. He swung back to find Jude leaning against the bar, his arms crossed and a knowing smirk on his face. And before you ask, she's single. I did wonder if she was your wife, Logan confessed with a smile. Jude chuckled. No, Paige is like our kid sister. She babysits for our twins on occasion. Single, huh? Logan asked. Yep, Jude confirmed before sighing. Oh, damn it, not again. Logan looked up over to where Jude's gaze was fixed. There were 4 men crowded around Paige's table, and it was obvious from the women's body language that they were not welcome. He saw Paige's expression change from one of concern to anger before she jumped to her feet so rapidly that her chair fell over. Logan watched the whole situation play out, almost in slow motion, as the petite blonde squared up against the nearest and the largest man. Whatever he said to her earned him a rather loud slap to his face. Logan didn't waste any time. He managed to beat Jude to the table just as the man grabbed hold of Paige's arm. I suggest you release the lady's arm, Logan growled. The 4 men looked at each other and began to laugh. Or you'll have to deal with, or you'll have us to deal with, Jude said from behind Logan. The brute held on to Paige's arm, twisting it. Logan felt the rage within him begging to be released. Taking his time, he allowed Jude to distract the men with his reasoning, waiting until he saw his moment. Paige searched his eyes and then nodded slightly. It was as if she read his mind. She reached for her attacker's hand, grasping and untwisting her arm, while at the same time kneeing him in the groin as she twisted away. The moment she was free and a safe distance away, Logan made his move. He worked systematically through the men one by one, successfully taking each one down with as little effort and damage as possible. Stepping back, he dusted his hands off and looked over at Paige. The expression on her face was priceless, and if it weren't for seriousness of the situation, Logan surely would have burst out laughing. Are you okay? Logan asked, walking up to Paige. Yes, she stammered. How on earth did you do, well, that? Self defense classes, Logan stated matter of factly. Glad you were here, Logan. I doubt any of us could have handled these creeps this well, Jude admitted, patting Logan on the back. I'm just glad to help. I don't like seeing women mistreated, especially ones as beautiful as you, Logan said, staring straight at Paige. She flushed under his scrutiny, but didn't move away. I'd get a lift home if I were you, just to be on the safe side. He smiled at Paige and nodded to Jude before leaving the bar. Damn, he'd only been in town for 2 days and he'd already been in a brawl. So much for his quiet life in a new town. Thank you, Ebony. I told Nina I was going to strip down and show off my butt crack in the front. Chapter 3. Who was that? Paige asked breathlessly, staring out at the retreating figure of her rescuer. His name's Logan Carter. He's new in town. Jude replied, helping Tony remove the semi-conscious men from the bar. Right, folks. I know it's still early, but given all the excitement we've had tonight, I think it's only right to close up now so I can get my pregnant wife home in one piece. Everyone laughed at Jude's attempt to make light of the situation, but no one argued. The Kavanaughs were well loved in Pineview and considered to be a fine, upstanding family. Slowly, people began to drift out of the bar, leaving the group alone to tidy up. Is Blake coming by to pick you up, Pippa? Paige asked. Yes, I just sent him a text. He should be here soon. We'll give you and Maggie a lift home. That's not necessary. I can walk. Paige waved her friend off. Paige, considering what just happened here, I think it'd be best if you get a lift home, Jude interrupted. Pippa, you guys take Maggie home and we'll take Paige. Holly, do you need a lift? Oh, no, thank you. Sam will be here shortly to pick me up, Holly said, taking Paige's hand. I think Sam and I should take Paige home, though. You guys live in the opposite direction to her, Holly suggested. Good idea, Ellie said. No arguments from anyone. Thank you, Holly. But Ellie and Holly are right, Pippa said. You're not walking home alone tonight. Paige sighed, knowing that this was one battle she would not win. Blake and Sam chose that moment to make their appearance. After a quick catch-up and some rough language from the two men, they too agreed that Paige should be given a lift home. Fine, Paige acquiesced, holding up her hands in surrender. I give up. Let's go. Jude nodded. Let me know if any of those guys bother you again. Yes, I will. She sighed, gathering her jacket and bag, saying a quick goodbye to the others with promises of contacting them the next day. Paige followed Holly and Sam out into the night. I'm just glad that the new guy stepped in and took care of those creeps. I can't bear the thought of anything happening to you, Holly, to any of you, Sam said, holding Holly close as they walked to his truck. We weren't ever really in any danger. They were just drunken idiots, Paige said. What was that? I just saw flashing lights or something, but no siren. I'm sure they would have lost interest after a while. Paige, who knows how far they would have taken things if Jude and Logan hadn't stepped in, Holly argued. Holly's right. Alcohol does things to people. If it brings out the dark side of their nature, you ladies might have been in more danger than you realized, especially if Logan and Jude hadn't been there. Paige knew that Sam was right, but it still irked her that she had inadvertently relied on a man to come to her rescue. Lord, I would love to have a man come to my rescue just once. I'd probably pass out with the vapors. She had always considered herself to be a strong, independent woman and had managed to survive without a man around since the day she was born. She wasn't about to make a habit of it now. Honey, I've had to make a habit of it my entire life. So Mike blacked my eye one time. He didn't mean to. He rolled over in the middle of the night and his elbow hit me right under the eye on that eye bone. And I had a black eye the next day. It wasn't that bad, but it was a black eye. So the next day I called my brother, my baby brother that's supposed to have my back, and I said, Bubba, Mike blacked my eye last night. You know what his response was? What's he look like? He better have 2 black eyes. Why do you think I'm calling you? You're the one that's supposed to protect my virtue. Paige knew that Sam was right, but it still irked her that she had inadvertently relied on a man to come to her rescue. She had always considered herself to be a strong, independent woman. And had managed to survive without a man around since the day she was born. She wasn't about to make a habit of it now. They drove in silence down the road to Paige's place, which wasn't a long drive, but late at night, it could be a bit daunting for a woman to walk it alone. Not that she was afraid. Pineview was a relatively peaceful town, despite a few loose cannons causing trouble on occasion. No, Paige wasn't afraid, not for her safety. Here we are, Sam said, pulling the car to a stop outside Paige's bookstore. I'll walk you to the door. That's not... Paige sighed as Sam ignored her and hopped out of the car. Hey, let him be a gentleman, Holly chuckled. He enjoys it. Paige grumbled but allowed Sam to help her out of the car. I'll speak to you tomorrow, Hoss. You better, sweetie, Holly replied, blowing her a kiss. Sam walked her around the corner to the door a few feet down the alleyway. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate the lift, Paige said. Anytime. You know you mean a lot to both Holly and I, right? I know, Sam. You guys are my family. Go on, get some sleep, and we'll try to pop by the shop tomorrow to say hi. Thanks again, Paige said. Sam waited until she had stepped inside before leaving, shutting the door behind her. Paige stumbled up the stairs to her apartment, looking forward to crawling into her bed and closing her eyes. Maybe she did have one too many drinks tonight. Reaching for her apartment door, she rifled through her purse for her keys. Her stomach dropped when she realized that they weren't there, and neither was her cell phone. Damn! Paige threw her purse to the ground and tried to fight off the tears that threatened to fall. Okay. I forgot to look to see how far I could read. Okay, I should be... Okay. Chapter 4, Logan. It was late, but Logan couldn't sleep. He couldn't get thoughts of Paige out of his head. There was just something about the woman that intrigued him. Realizing he was going to get very little sleep, Logan got up and paced the floor to the small apartment of the small apartment before dropping to the floor to do push ups. The apartment wasn't much, but it was his and it was convenient, considering it was above the shop and that he shared access to the rear door with only one other resident that lived in the apartment next to his. He couldn't fault it. Finishing his set, he was about to grab a glass of water when he heard a thump and the sound of swearing coming from the hallway. Logan would have ignored it if he hadn't heard a woman crying and sounds of something falling to the floor follow it. Flinging the door to his apartment open, Logan was shocked to see Paige kneeling on the ground gathering up the spilled contents from her purse. "Paige," he said softly, kneeling beside her. She flinched at the sudden intrusion. "What are you doing here? Wait, are you stalking me?" Paige leaped to her feet, backing away. "Whoa, easy now, Paige. I guess I'm your new neighbor. I just moved into the apartment next to yours," he said, pointing to his open door as he slowly rose to his feet so as not to startle her any further. Her eyes darted between him and the door as if trying to wrap her head around the news that he was in fact her neighbor. Logan could understand how she felt. Hell, he was trying to wrap his head around it too. Of all the people he could have moved in next door to, he'd ended up next to Paige. What were the chances? "So, what's up?" he asked, breaking the somewhat awkward silence filling the air. Paige sighed. "I've lost my keys and my cell phone." "Coffee?" Logan suggested. Paige stared at him blankly. "Come on. You look like you could do with a cup of coffee." She smiled faintly and nodded. Logan waved her into his apartment, making sure to leave the door ajar for her peace of mind. For a hot minute, she had thought that he was stalking her, so the last thing he wanted was to add any further to the creepiness factor he must be exuding. "Have a seat," Logan said, grabbing a couple of mugs from a cupboard and flipping on the coffee machine. "How do you take your coffee?" "Cream, 2 sugars, please," Paige replied softly. He glanced over at her. She was perched on the edge of the rundown couch that had come with the apartment, her hands clutching her purse as she stared vacantly around the room. That was all the apartment really was, a room. The bedroom was sectioned off by a solid yet somewhat worn down bookcase, and a counter island separated the kitchen from the living area. The only room that had a door was the bathroom. For a moment, Logan felt ashamed of how far he had fallen over the last year. This was a far cry from the life he had built for himself in New York, and yet he didn't miss it. He could picture himself being happy here. "Where'd you go?" Paige's near whispered question startled him. "Just thinking," he smiled, turning away to pour the coffee. "About?" "How funny life is," he replied, carrying the mugs to the couch. Logan handed Paige her coffee before settling down on the couch with his. Paige stared at him, her brow furrowed. "So, where do you think you left your keys and your phone?" Logan asked, swiftly steering the conversation away from his thoughts. "I have no idea." Ideal. See, that's a southern thing. "I have no idea. They could be anywhere." "Maybe back at Cocktails and Cream?" "Or in my friend's car," Paige said. "Either way, I'm screwed tonight. I can get the spare keys for my apartment when the shop opens in the morning, but till then..." "Till then, you have nowhere to stay." "Pretty much," Paige said, tucking a stray strand of her hair behind her ear. "Unless I walk to a friend's place." "Right. Well, that's not happening. Not after what happened, and certainly not in your inebriated state," Logan said, clearing his throat. "I have a bed and a couch. You are more than welcome to crash here for the night, in the bed, alone." Paige seemed surprised at his offer. "I bet you wish you'd never met me," she laughed dryly. "Thank you for the offer, but I couldn't stay. We don't know each other, and..." "I'm glad I met you," he said matter-of-factly, interrupting her as he stepped closer. "Paige, you're exhausted. You had one hell of a night, and from what you've said, you've nowhere to go. Please stay." She darted nervously she darted nervous glances between him and the door as if she were weighing her options. I'm not going to hurt you, Paige. I could never hurt a woman, he said reassuringly. Paige nodded hesitantly. Okay, but I'll take the couch. No way, not going to happen, Logan said, pointing her in the direction of the bed. Fine, I give up, Paige said with a half smile. Good. Now go get some rest, please. She walked over to the bed, kicked off her shoes, and got under the covers. Logan, she called out. Yeah. Thank you. Anytime. Mere moments later, she was asleep. He closed and locked the apartment door before flicking off the lights. I promise you that no one will hurt you. I'll make sure of it, he whispered in Paige's direction. Leaving her to sleep, Logan sat back down on the couch and got comfortable. He wasn't sure he would be able to sleep knowing she was only a few feet away from her, though. It wasn't long before he did drift off, with thoughts of a blonde angel dancing through his head. One more chapter and then I'm quitting because it's a novella. I don't want to give too much away. Paige's head was throbbing. Damn, she hadn't had that much to drink. Had she? Something felt wrong. This wasn't her bed. She sat bolt upright with a suddenness that she immediately regretted. Groaning, Paige grabbed at her head, closing her eyes to try and stop the room from uncontrollably spinning. Oh, God, I hate that feeling with more than life itself. Whoa there, easy, a voice called out. Paige's eyes shot open as she tried to focus on the figure hurrying towards her. You should probably lay back down, Paige. Where am I? She asked, her voice hoarse against the dryness of her throat. Who are you? It's me, Logan, from the bar. Remember, you're in my apartment. Memories came flooding back to her of the young man who had come to her aid the previous night. Young man. Oh my gosh. It's okay here. Have some water and take your time, Logan said, holding a half-filled glass out to her. Tentatively, she accepted it, taking several small sips of water before handing the glass back to him. Thank you. You're welcome, Logan replied. You think you can open your eyes now? Paige groaned. The mere thought of opening them made her stomach turn. What was wrong with her? Forcing them open, she felt the urge to be sick. How much did you have to drink last night? Logan asked, a hint of humor in his voice. 3 or 4, she said softly. I think maybe 5. Right. That says it all. Logan sighed, dramatically rolling his eyes. Paige giggled weakly at his antics, only to regret it when her head rebelled at the act. It's nice to hear you laugh, but you really should take it easy, Logan suggested, gently easing her back down on the bed. It's still early. Why don't you get some more sleep? Being in this position with a strange man should have set off all sorts of alarm bells going off for her, but strangely she felt safe, protected, enough to allow her to drift back off to sleep. Sunlight woke her up a few hours later. Cracking an eyelid open, Paige glanced at the clock on the bedside table and saw that it was still early, not even 7. Gingerly, she climbed out of bed and forced herself to keep her eyes open. Her head was still tender, but at least she could move now. Morning sunshine, Logan drawled from the couch. Morning, Paige replied, self-consciously smoothing down her bed head and hair. Coffee? Sure, sounds good, she said, wringing her hands together. What was she supposed to do? Say, Paige had never as much as had one night stand before, let alone woken up in a strange man's bed fully clothed. Okay, I've never done that, but we're not going to discuss one night stands. She was a bit cloudy on the etiquette involved in situations such as this. You can sit down, you know. Logan chuckled as if sensing her discomfort. Embarrassed, Paige hurriedly settled on the far end of the couch and took the chance to look around while she waited for the coffee. The apartment was a reverse carbon copy of hers, but that was where the similarity ended. Logan's place was sparsely furnished to the point that it could have been mistaken as an abandoned property. It was a shame, really. Maybe she could repay him for his kindness by offering to make his place homier. Here you go, Logan said, handing her a mug. Thank you. Feeling a bit better? Much. Thank you for everything. Hey, it was nothing. Just in the right place at the right time. Twice. He brushed her off with a wry smile. No, I dread to think what might have happened if you hadn't. Logan's expression grew dark, cutting her short. But I did, and nothing happened. She nodded wordlessly, caught in the intensity of his gaze. Speaking of which, do you want me to take you to your friend's place to look for your things? Logan said. Oh, no. I just need to wait until Zeke opens up the shop for me, and then I can grab my spare keys from the office. Zeke? Yeah, he helps me out at the shop in the mornings and some afternoons between classes. Okay, what time does this Zeke guy open up the shop? In about an hour, Paige confirmed. Do you want to shower, a change of clothes? That sounds great, actually, but unless you have a secret fetish for women's clothing, not sure you'd have anything that would fit me. Paige joked. Logan chuckled. Go shower and I'll dig some stuff out for you. Thanks, Paige said, scampering off to the bathroom. I won't be long. Take your time. Towels are on the shelf by the bathroom door. Oh, help yourself to shampoo and the spare toothbrush, too. Paige smiled at him before closing the bathroom door and indulging herself in a hot shower. And that's all I'm going to read because I don't want to read too much. It's a novella, so I don't want to read too much. What you guys think? What are you talking about? I have not read her Pineview books yet. Okay, so it's free on KU, and is it 99 cents, Ebony? I can't remember. Oh, that increases my cleavage there. I didn't know I had them muscles. Yes, 99 cents. I know. I'm such a good tease. Imagine being married to me and what kind of tease I would be. All right, ladies and gents, if there's any gents watching, that's it for the week. Be back here 8 o'clock next Tuesday, and I will be reading Evil Unbound by Daniel Grayson. So I expect to see all your fancy honeys right back here then. All righty. You guys have a great weekend and stay safe out there. Love you all. Happy reading.